Outdoor Pursuits is, there's a grade 11 class and a grade 12 class. They're geared towards taking students into the wilderness. Most of what we do is geared towards going on that trip, and it's an amazing opportunity for them to kind of head out and take their classroom outside.
What the Nitinat trip is, 6-day trip that combos both hiking and canoeing. Your first day, when you go and you do your check-in, you get to spend it at Pechina Bay, which is absolutely stunning and amazing. It's this huge, white, beachy, amazing place. Early next morning departure, right, because you have 16.5K to go.
So you're in a smaller group of 15 students, 3 chaperones, there's only 18 of you.
You spend most of that on the trail.
Sort of the northern portion of the West Coast Trail. It is the easier half of West Coast Trail, but it's still beautiful and it's still amazing and it's still an opportunity to get out there and hike and see other parts that you wouldn't get to see in a normal classroom or watching it on a video and experience it.
So the first 12K of that hike that day is on the trail. You pass the Sea Lion Haul Out at 9 kilometers. You pass the Pechina Bay Lighthouse at 10 kilometers. And then at 12 kilometers, you end up at Michigan Creek. And Michigan Creek is actually the stop on the way out for the people who canoed in. So that's their last night there.
I mean, the experience is one that you cannot replicate in a classroom. To take kids away from their everyday lives, where there's the comfort of their own home, there's the comfort of their own bed, there's the comfort of technology, and put them into a place that's very secluded. It's very sort of isolating, but it's also one of those opportunities where kids have an opportunity to come together.
But from 12K to 16.5K, you're on the beach. Lots of people refer to that as the death march because it's in sand or you're on the rock shelf. And it feels a lot closer than it actually is, and it tends to be a bit of a long day to finish.
Dripping.
So that puts you in at Secaucus Falls. And then from Secaucus Falls to Suziat Falls, you head back up in the trail for 3K. So from about 17 to 20 kilometers, you're back up quite high on the bluffs in the trail. And then you drop back down to the beach from about 20 to 22K. And that takes you to the cable car. So the cable car crossing is called Kalanawa, and when you cross there, you're actually now back up into the trail all the way through to Suziat Falls. So that's about 3.5K from there. And you end up at Suziat down those big, steep, lovely ladders. It's about 5 sets of them. The second group shows up from canoeing, and we hang out and share some stories. And then the group that started hiking, they depart sort of mid-afternoon, so they make their way back up the ladders and they go through something called the Deer Trail. The Deer Trail is only about 2 kilometers long, but it's a pretty intense, bushy experience where you're crawling under things and over things, and there's a lot of foliage and mud and lots of obstructions, if you will. And you end up on the lake, on Suziat Lake, where you have about a 40-minute paddle to your first campsite on the lake, and that's Suziat Lake. So a small little campsite, very lovely, looking west down towards the ocean. Nice and early morning, you've got about a 20-minute paddle, and that takes you to the start of the big portage. For your crew, you walked about 3/4 of it, dropped your bags at that point, walked back, picked up the canoes, brought the canoes to that point. Portage is about 3 kilometers long. It tends to be a little bit daunting. There's a big hill in the middle of it. Again, lots of obstacles, a huge mud contingents.
Oh no.
Some of the toughest portaging, I think, probably around. And then you got to the swamp, and then maybe you put everybody in the canoes and the packs and paddled across the swamp. And got down to the other side where you have probably about 15 minutes left to work. And then you're back onto Hobbiton Lake, which is the most beautiful lake in the world. And that's about 45 to an hour long paddle, and that puts you into Hobbiton Creek at nighttime from there. And from there you spend your night. And you get a nice early morning the next morning.
I think the biggest thing that all of our trips do is an opportunity to kind of connect and get to know people that you might not really know, and you've gone to school with them for 12 years or 13 years.
That puts you into your last portage, which is only about 1.5 kilometers long. Slightly less challenging, a little more hilly, but less obstacles. And then you end up on Nitinat Lake.
There's only so many opportunities that you have. It is one of the most remarkable experiences watching a group come together.
I think it's a super special trip. It's about friendship and teamwork and cooperation. There's a huge sense of accomplishment in finishing it, and a huge sense of bonding that happens with each other.
Groups tend to come together a little bit more, and you will never forget the trip.